Afternoon and welcome to the first of a double bill of FOSROC Suer6 action this Saturday afternoon. A little bit later on this afternoon we'll be focusing on the match between Ayrshire Bulls and Herricks, but our concentration from 2 o'clock will be the Edinburgh derby between Boroughmuir and Watsonians. Watsonians sitting currently in third place in the table, Boroughmuir just above Southern Knights in fifth, and with home advantage they'll certainly be hoping to make that count this afternoon against a side from close by that they know so well. I'm delighted to say that alongside me, watching pictures coming in this afternoon, is Lee Jones. And Lee, Edinburgh derby is always whet the appetite, and I think this is going to be no different on what is a bit of a bleak afternoon across the whole of the Central Belt.
Yeah, I think what they term the Collington Road derby, there's not much distance between these two clubs, and the history probably goes way back. And now at Suer6 level, we've seen the opening few rounds have been pretty exciting in terms of rugby, a few close results. Boroughmuir coming in with 2 losses but having been pretty competitive, picking up 2 losing bonus points, and Watsonians coming out on the right side of their first 2 matches. So it should be a good one this afternoon at Meggetland.
Yeah, the very nature of the sprint series, you want to get off to a good start, so Boroughmuir may well feel a little bit on the back foot coming into this match, as you say, having lost a couple of matches. The most recent game of obviously losing out to Ayrshire Bulls by 24 points to 17, but Watsonians 9 points so far. That's a good return from their opening 2 games. A lot of people will perhaps fancy that they'll maybe have the upper hand going into today's game.
Yeah, like I said, they'll be pretty pleased with their first 2 results, and it's very important with only these 5 matches before they go into almost playoffs in the sprint series that you get off to a good start. So Watsonians obviously off to a good start, and Boroughmuir looking to get that first win on the board. Like I said, haven't been effective in parts in their first 2 games, but Graham Shield in the week there saying that they're looking to compete for longer periods during those matches, reduce the errors, and at home today as well, welcoming a close rival, so they'll be looking to put in a good performance.
Yeah, at this stage the sides know each other so well. Let's have a look at the Boroughmuir side this afternoon. A late change from the side that was originally selected and published to the press. I can tell you that in the back row, Gregor Brown has been withdrawn by Glasgow. Now his place is taken by Ewan Ferry, who himself was missing last weekend through injury. He was going to start in the second row, comes into the back row. Jack Fisher comes off the bench to start in the second row alongside him. It means that Ewan Stuart is coming in as a replacement. So a little jolt there for Graham Shield this morning, discovering that Glasgow were requiring the services of Gregor Brown, but by the nature of the size of the squad, he's got plenty of resources just to slot in where he needs to.
Yeah, a wee bit of shuffling around, and I think the back row is a real area of strength for Boroughmuir. It's good to see Craig Kerry back in as captain. Rhys Tate performed really well last week and took the captain's armband. Ewan Ferry coming from second row will obviously add a bit of bulk to that number 6 jersey, and from Gregor Brown's point of view, it's good for him in terms of Glasgow are looking at him. He was just back from 13 months out due to a knee injury, so it's been great to see him get some game time over the last 2 weeks, and from his point of view, good. But I think Boroughmuir still looking strong in that back row area, and that will be a real kind of focus area for them today. And
looking at the squad there, the average age is around 23, so that's promising for the individuals, for the team as a collective, and for players that have aspirations to move up a level.
Yeah, and I think we see across the teams in this Suer6 competition a very young average age, and we've got that real mix of youngsters coming through that are potentially looking to break into the pro environment. We've got some experienced players potentially coming from club level, and we've also got professional players such as Tom Brown. He's coming down and he's playing at Suer6 level to lend his experience to these young guys. So it's a real exciting mix of ages, of experience, and that's what the Suer6 competition has given us.
And that wind beginning to pick up quite significantly around Collington. Let's then have a look at the Watsonian side. A few new faces in their starting 15 this afternoon. Harry Patterson comes in at full back for his first game for the club. Of course, you'll be aware of his involvement with the Scotland Sevens League, and he's himself is back after a lengthy period out through injury. Joe Reynolds starts at inside centre with Angus Guthrie moving on to the wing. Rory Brand will get his first start at scrum half. All that means that Lee Miller will return from injury onto the bench rather than making a starting appearance, and Ryan Daly drops to the bench as well. So once more, Fergus Springer looking just to shuffle his pack, and good to see a couple of fresh faces in that Watsonian side.
Yeah, it's great to see these guys coming back in from injury, and that will give the team a real boost. Looking at 12 there, Joey Reynolds comes back in. He's a really smart rugby player, and I think he'll make a big difference for Watsonians with his kicking game, especially left foot, which offers something different. And as you mentioned, Harry Patterson, just off the back of some sevens involvement, and he's a young guy with bags of talent, and looking forward to seeing how he gets on today.
And Carl Davis, their starting hooker, has had a couple of exceptional performances. He's really slotted in. We'll remember him from the full Suer6 series back in the autumn, late summer, early autumn last year. He was a very effective player, and continues to be so in Watsonians colours. Some braving the elements this afternoon with shorts on, others are wearing the hoodies and maybe even bring one or two travel blankets, as there still is a bit of a chill in the air, but it is approaching May. It is spring-like weather, and we know that having watched crucial 15s matches and sevens competitions, Lee, that you never can predict what the weather's going to be like. But there's some Boroughmuir players just going through their paces one last time before they get ready to take to the field in a few minutes' time for this game. And I mean, these players, having lost the opening two matches, they'll know the extra importance of a good start in this one.
Yeah, definitely, and as I mentioned, they're at home, and they'll have a lot of pride playing at home, and they need to, I believe they need to draw on that to try and get a performance, and that, yeah, it'll come down to the start of the game, and they'll want to start really well, put Watsonians under pressure. They know their home ground well, and hopefully from their point of view they can make use of that, and start strongly. I think, as you mentioned on the weather, it's a real bonus of this competition running through the springtime, that even though it's a bit dreek, it's a bit overcast, we should have a dry ball today, and hopefully it remains dry. There's always a bit of a wind at Meggetland, but these players will be used to that, and like I say, from their point of view, they'll be looking to put in a strong start.
You've got a good look at Corey Tate in the picture there, the starting Boroughmuir's Bears hooker this afternoon, alongside the likes of Ewan Ferry, Jack Fisher, Hamish Bain in the second in the back row, and Watsonians now walking purposefully onto the field of play there. Carl Main in the back row. Glimpse of Jason Baggett, one of the vice captains. It looks as if Watsonians will have the kick-off, be Baggett involved, and of course he's been key, his development over the years. I remember watching him in his infancy when he arrived at Melrose a few years ago now, settling into life at the Green Yards, and he's moved very much onwards and looking upwards as well to develop himself into a part-time professional player. Look at opportunities beyond that, as well as Baggett will get this match underway. Our match referee this afternoon, incidentally, is Graham Ormiston, ably assisted by Sam O'Neill and Neil Muir. In early stages then, first opportunity, a box kick for Boroughmuir's Willie Swan, and he launches one high which will just about carry halfway. That's a contestable kick, and Watsonians are able to do well in the air to secure possession of the ball. Live coverage then coming in from Meggetland. Carl Davis with an early carry, again makes the ball available there. Rory Brand, he'll want to make himself very busy in the early stages. Decent carry again from Watsonians forwards. Baggett once out towards this left hand side. Now some acceleration up the left hand side of the pitch. Angus Guthrie, we mentioned, played centre but on the left wing this afternoon. Carried forward this time is Lewis Ball. In behind is Brand. Back just on halfway. Baggett once more out towards that right hand channel. They're looking to make some inroads. Watsonians just a minute on the clock, and the visiting side just made the very short distance from their Myerside club rooms. Have it once more with Brand, aiming the grubber kick in towards the edge of the 22. That's a nice little touch finder. It'll be an early throw in for Corrie Tate and for Boroughmuir Bears, and Watsonians just settling into the contest. Many of the players have been able to get an early touch, which is importantly.
Yeah, they're looking pretty assured the first lengthy possession of the match, and I think that's pretty smart by Rory Brand, just to put the ball on the floor. They'd played through phases, they'd found a bit of shape, but the Boroughmuir defence was pretty astute, and it's a good decision to kind of force them back, force them to exit.
Throw in taken there by the back row forward, Ewan Ferry. Had to adjust his position from starting, who was originally going to start in the second row. You'd hear Graham Ormiston signal the advantage coming from an infringement at that throw-in. So Boroughmuir will have the opportunity to clear from just the edge of their 22. Just over 2 minutes gone. I think Seb Cecil was the player infringing in the Watsonians back row just at the line out. Ormiston in charge this afternoon, as we mentioned, with Sam O'Neill and Neil Muir the assistants, and it's now a throw in up towards halfway. Still a bit of a breeze around Meggetland today. We mentioned these sides. Watsonians third in the table, 9 points from their 2 matches. Boroughmuir Bears 2 from 2, and it's a throw in now, Corrie Tate. Movement again in the line, a clean win there by Ewan Ferry. Very quickly back through the hands. Mercer and Swan looking to link up well as well. It's with Swan now. Forwards looking to carry. Baggett adjusts his position. Calamain goes in with the tackle. Mopped up again by Swan. Boroughmuir trying to work it out towards their right hand side as they look to make inroads. Over the ball just now is Tom Brown, but the penalty awarded to Watsonians. Ball carrier taking the ball into contact, not releasing, and a little bit frustration there in the faces of some of those Boroughmuir players, but Lee Jones halfway, chance for Watsonians to ping this one down close towards that 22.
Yeah, that was a good opportunity. Boroughmuir first possession, line out on halfway. That's something that you'll look at in terms of call sheet. They would have had a line out, they go to first play, this is what we're going to run, and it looked like it was a 3-phase play, but loose ball. Watsonians putting a great hit on the first contact, and that just knocks back the momentum, which meant that Watsonians defenders could get round the corner, and there was probably the space that Boroughmuir anticipated to create wasn't there. So it's a good first defensive set from Watsons as well, and Boroughmuir will look to go again when they get their hands on the ball.
Just on the 22 then. First throw in for Carl Davis. Goes towards the back of the line. A clean win in the air. Davis then joins the drive. Just on the edge of that 22, and you see Davis now with the ball tucked under that right arm. Tries to glance up occasionally, but he can see that these forwards just in front of him are applying a bit of pressure and eating up the ground inside that 22. Still back with Davis. Scrum half's in position if required. Brand just on the edge. Brand now has a little run himself on there towards Baggett. Baggett is gobbled up, still inside the 22. Ball goes loose, just bypasses the scrum half there. Handling error from Watsonians. They were making real ground there with that maul lead, and it just broke down when it was released from Davis through the hands then of Brand. Got a little bit untidy, and it's presented Boroughmuir with an opportunity in 5 minutes to try and exit the 22.
Yeah, Cal Davis at the back of that maul there was directing proceedings and done really well. They got a real bit of momentum, and I felt he did well to stay attached to that maul.
Should we get that space before the set?
It was just the release there to Rory Brand at 9, and then the subsequent pace was a wee bit messy.
Yeah, it's fully bound, please.
So another opportunity for Boroughmuir to relieve a bit of early pressure.
These are maybe aspects of the game that after a few weeks playing together and playing successive number of matches, that these aspects maybe improve a little bit, as it's now been picked up at the base by the hugely experienced Craig Keddy. Back in the side, as Lee mentioned before kick-off, back as captain as well, having missed out last weekend's match. So Boroughmuir will be delighted to have Keddy in the side. Box kick there from Rory Swan is a nice touch finder that carries the 22 between that 22 and 10. And just the exit that I suppose Boroughmuir supporters would be looking for, just to release a little bit of pressure, but that man Davis will have the throw in and another opportunity for Watsonians to build a little pressure. No scoring so far, and of course last night Stirling County going top of the table with a win against bottom side Southern Knights. Ayrshire Bulls Heriots still to come. But our live action from Meggetland, no scoring. 6.5 minutes of the first half gone. Watsonians with the territorial advantage and most of the possession of the ball, and in goes Brand once again, looking to recycle quickly as Watsonians trying to turn the screw. Brand has it once more, out towards Baggett. There's 3-4 players across on that right hand side trying to make some inroads. Grounding the ball there was Reynolds, was able to feed the ball back, and it's been recycled by a Watsonian side. Desperate to get back inside the Boroughmuir 22. Brand has it once again. Ships the ball out towards Baggett. Carried on this time by Carl Main. Real solid challenge coming in there on Main. As back to his feet is Ewan Ferry. And he's back now with the scrum half Brand. Boroughmuir again trying to control the defensive line as Watsonians looking to try and find some chinks. Brand with a little glance towards the left hand side. Thought about going himself. That players on the deck. The referee whistles for an infringement. Craig Keddy is back down. He's removed the scrum cap, and this will be anxious times for the Boroughmuir coaching staff. Graham Shield, aware of the importance of his number 8, who's been in the wars in the opening 7.5 minutes, and it gives both sets of players just an opportunity to regroup and assess the opening exchanges.
Yeah, I think overall we're 7.5 minutes in, and I think we'd probably say Watsonians with the upper hand. They've had the majority of the possession. I think they look very assured in the way they want to play in terms of their shape. They're hitting that forward, and then Jason Baggett's able to apply a bit of control outside of that. It looks like they know what they're doing, and that allows them to put pace onto the ball when the forwards are carrying. They've got that extra yard into contact.
I'm going to come over to this side.
But the Boroughmuir defence has been pretty steady, and I think there's been some good tackles in there. And Watsonians are being made to play.
Just looking at the facial expression there of Craig Keddy and his body language to see, if he'll be back on his feet. Well, there he is. He's now back on his pens, and
so it's a scrum there, ball with
the referee. So too was the Watsonian skipper Carl Davis. So we're going to resume with a set piece.
Time back on.
Just outside that Boroughmuir 22. A handy figure is Craig Keddy. Scrum cap back on again. Been around a number of years now. Real stalwart of the club game.
Lads, both of you, let's just keep the space and keep straight on this side,
step up to this part-time professional level. At his side on the defensive once more is Rory Brand with his first start at number 9. Will look to feed the ball into this Watsonian scrummage. 8 minutes of the first half gone, no score. Second of 3 matches this weekend in round 3 of this FOSROC Sprint Series. The ball in by Brand. Reaches in, he's able to gather possession of the ball. Picked up again once more. Some powerful running here by Reynolds. Reynolds is going himself for the line, and Reynolds is over. That's a fine score. The inside centre cutting a line, first receiver onto the pass. Away he goes, and he starts this afternoon. Opens the scoring on 8.5 minutes. Takes the congratulations of his teammates. And Joe Reynolds has got the first points.
Just the rally there,
dummy there. He was thinking about bringing Lewis Berg into play. Dummied the pass.
The next scrum.
Continued the run. And Lee, that's a fine start from Watsonians, and they've certainly had the territorial advantage most of the possession, and perhaps deserving of the opening score.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair reflection on the first 10 minutes of this match. And Joey Reynolds, we mentioned him at the start, but smart play from him, because for all money you'd expect that ball to be going out the back for them to play to win. He's just keeping the Boroughmuir defence honest. I think it was Harry Mercer slipped off the tackle there, but and Joey had the pace and the power to go through and finish there, but that'll then set a precedent for the rest of the game, and that Boroughmuir have to watch those short lines, stay honest on those short lines, and then that gives the opportunity for the potential for the ball to be shifted wider. But great play by Joey Reynolds.
Jason Baggett's face, a picture of concentration as he was lining up that conversion attempt there, and in conversation with his backs. Reynolds then with the try in 8 minutes. Boroughmuir then are having to chase the game on the 10-minute mark. Restart is one just on the edge of the Watsonians 22. And coming on to with a bit of a barnstorming run there was Hamish Bain, just trying to close down the Watsonians players in possession of the ball. Decent carry there though by loose ball. Scrum half now. Rory Brand goes in, has a little look at the options just behind. Played forward there by Baggett. Watsonians 4 players just along the edge of their own 10-metre line. Brown with the pass out towards the left hand side. Again goes a little bit loose. The referee was a little bit drussy earlier on, had a drink, Graham Ormiston, just when there was a stop in play, but after consultation with the assistant Sam O'Neill, picked up a Boroughmuir knock on, and Boroughmuir just lacking that little bit of cohesion and fluency when they're in possession of the ball that you perhaps need just to settle yourself into the game and certainly get yourself back to a position where you're really pressing the opposition and looking for points.
Yeah, that was an opportunity, just probably the first counter-attack opportunity for Boroughmuir. In the last few weeks their transition's been somewhere where they've actually gained a bit of advantage, and they'll be disappointed there, just a wee bit of a loose pass. That's a fantastic opportunity to get yourself into the game, and if Watsonians are going to try and relieve pressure, you can apply that back on with the counter-attack. But possession back with Watsonians.
Brand into the scrum. Number 8 is Ian Moody. Brand has it once more. On again through the midfield. Baggett, delayed pass. Fine lines that they're running here. Interception. It didn't find Patterson. It's been stolen and played forward there. That was a good steal by Glenn Falls. His kick into the 22. Covered defence provided there by Reynolds. Reynolds has got a decent, experienced, educated left foot, as we've seen in the past, and he scurried across to ensure that he was able to clear downfield. But that was a good steal from Glenn Falls, and again a man of plenty experience, picking a line, was able to go, played an inviting kick into the edge of that 22, but Watsonians had enough players back just to mop things up.
Yeah, you can see Watsonians, they had a bit of space there and they're just trying to push that offload, but impressive play by Glenn Folds coming in for his first start. He was really patient there and putting the ball through to apply a bit more pressure.
Fine line here now as Robbie McCallum goes on the saunter up towards the edge of the 22, accelerated into that pass there. Recycle ball through the hands, quick touch there from Mercer out towards the left hand side. Really solid challenge coming in there as Watsonians players back to their feet. I think that was loose ball with the initial tackle. They've stolen some ball, and once more they're up towards that 10-metre line. There's the box kick from Brand. Once more that bounces a few times and guided all the way by Glenn Falls, who has it, ensures it doesn't go into touch. Falls evades 1-2 challenges, is forced into touch on that left hand side. And you look at the likes of Glenn Falls and his experience, he'll be a player that certainly Graham Shield and the Boroughmuir players on the park and the coaching staff will look at as somebody that might be a source of inspiration to get Boroughmuir back in the contest.
Yeah, definitely, he looked sharp on his feet there. In an ideal world, he really wants to try and stay in the field.
If we see anything clear, Craig, of course we'll deal with it.
Going back to his piece of play before to put that ball through when he realised that the cover and defence was coming across, forced Watsonians to clear. And a good break by Robbie McCallum. It's a young centre partnership for Boroughmuir with Robbie McCallum and Duncan Munn, but 2 guys with bags of potential, really young, and they've got a big future ahead of them. And it was a good line by Robbie McCallum, but unfortunately Boroughmuir have turned over the ball, and there was another big hit there. I think Lewis Ball coming in again. He's really making his presence felt in the first few
edge
contacts.
Of that mark there, okay. Thank you.
Just wondering that Craig Keddy was across speaking to Graham Ormiston, almost
we're never
pointing
going to
out
play when we
keep
see
your eye
it,
out for the dark arts,
for
the for some forward play and playing very much on the edges of the laws of the game.
We don't have one.
I think Graham will be experienced enough to know that, but it's interesting that Craig has obviously identified a couple of aspects of what's on his play he's not entirely happy with at the moment.
Yeah, and that's the captain's role, isn't it? Just making sure the referee is aware of the few areas that he needs to be aware of from a Boroughmuir point of view, and create Keddy coming back in as captain will offer that, as we've said,
powerful drive there into the 22 once more. Recycled ball, bobbles there and taken on well though by Van Niekerk. He almost lost it, was almost dislodged. Brand goes to deck there, he still has it. It was a good set move from Watsonians, and coming on to at the rate of knots for the forwards. They pick and go once more. You can see the pads of the posts and how close Watsonians are, leading by 7 points to 0. Recycle, pick and go stuff at the moment. They've got the solid forwards in possession and in position to what Romantic is now. Brand goes in once again. He's going to reverse the angle here, almost underneath the post. Good running here from Baggett. Baggett goes to deck, plays the ball on the ground very well, dancing around there. Berg again trying to find his way towards the line. So close for Watsonians as they seek out an opening for a second try here. They're practically on that try line. You can see on the screen it's planted back towards Brand. Brand lunging towards the line. Humberston has a look. The assistant referee whistling there for I think an infringement, possible hold up, an extra roll I think he's saying. So despite the best efforts there of the Watsonians forwards, time and again pressing and probing that Boroughmuir defence, they eventually come unstuck.
Okay, we can take the kick and then we can assess
it. As much as Watsonians are producing quick ball, Boroughmuir are doing
just get your timing right. That time was fine.
Really make that scrappy at the breakdown, which is forcing Watsonians into carrying when potentially they're not quite ready to carry. Rory Brand almost forced to have a wee
just at that last scrum, I didn't mean you needed to use it when you were going forward. Just as if it's stationary and I call you use it, okay?
So it remains 7 points to 0 as Watsonians were across the try line but had infringed with that double movement. And Boroughmuir have been able to clear downfield, and Corey Tate in with that long throw in over the jumpers this time, was dislodged just at the back of the line there. And you hear the referee with the knock-on advantage. It's back now with Brand on towards Baggett, looking for the acceleration coming up towards that 22. Brand in position once again to look to recycle on, finds Baggett once more. Short period of advantage played by Graham Ormiston. It's back with Brand again. Seb Cecil coming on to that pass but couldn't gather the ball in, played forward, and it's now Patterson back inside his own half after it was hacked downfield by Boroughmuir. Recycled by Brand once again. Baggett this time tries to read the challenge coming towards him, keeps possession of the ball, Brand in behind.
Use it.
The option of a box kick this time as he's controlling it with the feet. And delivers a kick now which should just about carry that 10-metre line, and does a little longer than I perhaps expected. Boroughmuir again winning the ball in the air, and a chance for them now will be that Rory Swan opts for the same outcome with the box kick. Not quite as far, again it's contestable, it's a tantalising one, it's palmed backwards. Keddy coming onto that ball as it was inviting the number 8 to take the ball into contact. Recycled by Swan. Meggetland the venue, Boroughmuir 0, Watsonians 7. 17 minutes of the first half gone. Watsonians were pressing and probing and on that the Boroughmuir line just moments ago, but denied a second try. Baggett underneath the high ball is able to turn and face the opposition posts and make it available now for his scrum half. Forwards again coming in, solid challenge, decent run by Cecil's made some ground. Still some way for Watsonians to go to get that back up towards halfway though. Brand with the box kick, challenge coming in there from Ferry, couldn't charge it down. Underneath the high ball, Boroughmuir again win possession. Once more they want to try and inject a little bit of pace from these situations where they've got a little bit of green plane to run into.
Leave it now, thank you.
Keddy overplay, so too is Ferry. Recycled now, prop forward, taken on is Martin McGinley, receiving the pass from Spawn, his scrum half, tight head did well. Now the blindside flanker Ferry takes the ball into contact. Once more Swan looks to recycle quickly through the hands. Forward. Up with play there was Jack Fisher. He's originally going to start on the bench as Watsonians have not won the steal up towards halfway.
Leave.
Thank you. Snap box kick into the 22, bubbling ball back, providing some cover, and that was good work there by the left winger Joe Jenkins, and Falls just moving from left to right as Baggett now accelerating into some open space, on towards Reynolds, out towards this right hand side. Reynolds the try scorer, and the Watsonians play breaking down as Loman McPherson and Lewis Berg were out on that right hand side, running out of options, perhaps expecting an extra man to be on the flank to take the pass. Ball goes out of play by Boroughmuir throw-in. High time we heard once again from Lee Jones.
Yeah, I think we've seen obviously a lengthy phase of play there, but we see the importance of the kicking game and how the kicking game can influence the match. Boroughmuir are looking to the box kick.
I will work with you. We just can't have
the one that they got back allows them another possession. I'd like to see them move that ball. When you win a box kick back, the defence is often in disarray, and that's an opportunity to strike. We then see Watsonians kicking on the front foot and Rory Brand putting the ball in behind. It's applying pressure. Boroughmuir then have to clear, and Watsonians then had the opportunity to play wide. And so as we see the kicking game back and forth, teams will be looking to kick to potentially get a kick back. And it's choosing when to pull that trigger. Watsonians kicked on the front foot, they got the ball back, and that's when they pulled the trigger. They were unfortunate on the width there that they weren't able to execute.
We're just waiting on you, Hooker.
You can see what they're trying to do with that kicking game.
I'll put time on.
It's interesting just
and then Sam will let him go,
the accuracy of things. When those teams are box kicking, if they can win it back, or they can force
time back on.
Kicking back, then it can create opportunities.
Cal Davis in a picture there, receiving some treatment to the collarbone and shoulder, and the medics giving him a good workout before play resumes. Ball again won in the air by Ewan Ferry from that snap throw in from Corey Tate.
Don't change!
See just in the left hand corner. Box kick from Swan. It's all the way down that left hand side. Trundling, you can see perhaps an example on this occasion of the breeze when it picks up just the distance that they can make downfield. As Boroughmuir and Watsonians, two sides that know each other so well, lock horns again in round 3. So that kick carrying over the halfway line. So a decent exit there from Boroughmuir, forcing Davis back to throw in.
Only 1-9 all back.
Watsonian skipper in the wars, a bit like his
only 1-9.
Boroughmuir equivalent in the form of their number 8, the skipper, Craig Kelly.
Back 9.
Davis will
through line of touch, back the way. That's once.
Ball under the arm. Time to look up as well. Here come the reinforcements. Brandon behind is talking to his captain, and Hooker now crosses halfway. Decent maul again. Begins to slow up a little bit. Ball goes loose, picked up there by Brand, on towards Baggett now. Sharp pass, one-handed from Baggett out towards this left-hand side, and suddenly some ground for Watsonians and Angus Guthrie to run into. Plants the ball back. Brand has it once more. Again, Watsonians working up towards the edge of the 22. Thinks about bringing Loman McPherson into play. Taken on again by Harry Patterson. Brand again goes in.
He's trying to make a tackle.
Ball,
just
dislodged there from the hands, but it's adjudged to be knocked forward there. So coming up a Boroughmuir hand. Boroughmuir players coming in involved in the clear out. That's to the displeasure of one or two of the Watsonians players who not entirely happy with Glenn Fall's actions there. His temper's maybe flamed just a little bit. You've seen it.
First thing I've got here is him trying to make a legal tackle and it's come forward.
Calm down though. And frustration here as Falls comes in, and it looks as if Rory Brand's maybe taking a little bit of a sore one.
Is that?
Yeah, I think again Boroughmuir just trying to make it as scrappy as possible.
He's trying to make a legal tackle, there's no issue with that.
Probably letting Watsonians down at the moment.
That's a matter of opinion, Sean.
In terms
got to make a judgment call and we're going knock on.
To get his hands free a couple of times, which is creating opportunities, but they're just they're not quite protecting that ball at the ruck, which is allowing Boroughmuir to just
last scrum was good, let's keep it that way, okay?
Forcing to knock-ons and playing the ball maybe earlier than they want to. So Watsonians, from their point of view, they'll be looking to keep the ball a bit more secure at the back of that ruck.
Okay.
And unable to
feed the ball. That's both early on that side. We need to hold our weight, okay?
Not been too many scrum resets.
We need to hold our weight.
So far, only 22 minutes on the clock, of course. Important phase of the game with a try coming in 8 minutes. Joe Reynolds inside centre, scoring the try, converted by Jason Baggett.
Crouch! Bind! Okay.
See just a glimpse of Ewan Ferry taking the
Anything
contact
on your
there
side,
in
Neil?
the Boroughmuir colours.
Okay, sure. Lads, we need you two to set the space and everyone else to hold their weight. Do we all understand? Yeah? Lads, we're happy with that? Okay.
Looking to see if there's any sort of discrepancy in height in the respective front rows, to see if maybe a shorter, stockier, tight head or loose head prop
okay, everyone in, please.
A little bit of an advantage over a taller front row forward. Sometimes that can make a little bit of a difference.
Bind!
They seem to be fairly evenly marked,
Set.
both in height and weight, as they feed the ball in, attempt to feed the ball in. As I look up at the referee, Graham Morrison, but Brand this time is able to get the ball in. Picked up there by Ian Moody, on towards Brand once again, on rushing, and now it's Jason Baggett that's going to go in himself. It's a wonderful score. In fact, I beg your pardon, it's not the fullback Baggett who's got the try.
No, I'll speak to Neil on this side.
It was a
My
fine
side was
piece
okay,
of running
and I'll
there.
speak to Neil about this side.
And it was the inside centre, Lewis Berg, who picked the line, and Berg, at first receiver opposed to Baggett, was accelerating onto that ball, and we'll see this again. Brand this time, a quick piece of thinking and movement here from the outside centre, Lewis Berg, supported by his midfield cast. But this is a wonderful evasion of the tackle, and then the determination to back himself to score, Lee Jones.
Anything from you, pal?
Yeah, it's a strong finish by Lewis Berg. On the third time of asking, Watson's managed to get that scrum ball, and although it wasn't particularly clean, you can see their strategy in attacking the link zone, so the link between the back row of that scrum defensively and the 10. It's an area that it's the hardest place to defend, often from set piece, and Watsonians have targeted that with outside centre. Lewis Berg coming hard and short into the space between Rhys Tate in the back row and Harry Mercer. It's a tough place to defend, and it's a good strategy by Watsonians to strike there.
Conversion attempt this time from the aforementioned Jason Baggett, just wide of the upright. So a try for Lewis Berg, a try for Joe Reynolds. The two Watsonian centres then coming good inside the first 25 minutes. And Boroughmuir then with the restart. It's gathered just in the midriff there. Watsonians again winning possession from the restart, so no opportunity for Boroughmuir inside the opposition half to try and press. They've barely been in and around the Watsonians 22 in the early stages. Brand once again then just lining up, taking his time, lining up the box kick. Again the flailing arms of the forwards coming through there, but it's gathered in the air by Keddy. Keddy goes to deck. Recycled here, played on by Falls this time. Taking the ball into contact, just on that Boroughmuir 10. 12 points to 0. 2 tries, 1 conversion for Watsonians. Third in the table, leading as we approach the half-hour mark. Another box kick, as Lee mentioned, quite often the tactic adopted by Boroughmuir. Taken in again, but dislodged there and played forward now by Rhys Tate.
Okay. He's legal.
Short period of advantage played by Graham Ormiston there, as it was snatched back by Watsonians.
Yeah, he's legal, but we've got
one of the
first,
deepest positions they've been inside the Watsonians half with this set piece opportunity lead, and it comes at an important time as we close in on the half-hour mark, and Watsonians in front by 12 points to 0.
Yeah, the box kick coming good for Boroughmuir on that occasion.
Just
the phase before. They had real numbers on their feet on that short side, but opted to continue to set up the box kick, and that was maybe the call. But I'd like to see there was enough Boroughmuir players on that short side to potentially quick ball and get down there. Watsonians had managed to get a lot of numbers on their feet by the time the box kick went up, so Boroughmuir make use of that quick ball potentially a wee bit better.
Into the scrum then by Swan, picked up by Keddy. Swan has it again, has a look at the options, brings Falls into play. He's tackled well though, and Baggett back to his feet.
Good.
He's cycled once more by Swan. Boroughmuir's fullback Tom Brown, little pop pass.
4 to go.
Brown goes in again. He cycles to Keddy, clashes with the captain of Watsonians, Carl Davis. Through the hands, out towards this right-hand side, and a decent
forward.
run then by Rhys Tate.
Advantage, Watsons.
Just dislodged on the edge of the 22.
Yeah, there's no
players
advantage. Knock on first. It's a Watson scrum.
So you hear the referees picked up on the knock on.
Yeah.
Provide Watsonians with a platform from a scrummage. We get to see this again.
Okay, time off.
A little snap pass there from Harry Mercer, on very quickly through the hands of Hamish Bain. Worked its way out towards the left-hand side. Boroughmuir running out of room. And just there's the first opportunity that they've been able to feed the ball
just
through
you
the
stay
hands.
straight. I'm going to speak to him about driving straight as well.
Comes
okay.
27 minutes into the first half,
just
and that
drive
will be
straight,
straight range.
A real opportunity down the short side, and something that we've not seen much of for Boroughmuir. Tom Brown in at first receiver, and then
we'll take that on board.
Harry Mercer showed good quick hands, and Hamish Bain with a lovely ball
Sean,
over the top.
You need to set up straight as well. I've talked to him about driving straight.
I think just given
you can't set up across the scrum either. You need to drive straight through him.
Would it have been better?
That's the message I need to get across here. I've spoke to him. You need to set up and drive straight as well.
In the Watsons 22 and apply pressure.
I'll ping you if you do it as well.
I feel like they've almost went for the miracle ball there. And in time to over.
You stay on this side, okay? I'm going to come back over.
Scrummage then, Watsonians will have the put in just on the edge of the 22 on their left, as you see it, just from the picture. Grey sky over Meggetland this afternoon.
Crouch.
This Edinburgh Derby in the early stages, going away off the visiting side with the two centres. Berg and Reynolds scoring the tries. Ball into the scrum.
Use it
from Brand. Picked up again by Moody. Just from the base.
He's not in the ball. Stay.
In a bit of bother a little bit earlier on, rubbing his shoulder. Well, he's been replaced by McGinley.
Yeah, that's touched by a Boroughmuir hand.
Off rather McGinley on, as Glenn Fall's a little uncertain under the high ball on this occasion.
It's taken
back. You're clear from the edge of the 22 down, but the referee takes it back as Tom Brown looks rather ruefully
so we can't go quick. You're all good.
Downfield, and it will
just
be a throw in
perfect
for Watsonians.
Just here, please.
Carl Davis, and that was a little bit untidy when Boroughmuir were under no immediate pressure. The involvement there of both Brown and Falls.
Yeah, just not being able to take that ball in the full, and the wee bubble.
Yeah, just 1-9 as well.
Was able to pass into Tom Brown, just allows that Watsonians defence another couple of yards, which then puts pressure on the kick, and then feeds into the result of the
That's
kick.
one stop, Watsons.
Watsonians applying good pressure, and they'll be happy with that in terms of an exit.
Davis once more just at the back of the maul.
Second stop, use it. Craig, no.
Davis still has it in possession. Brand reaching in to rip it from his captain. You can see the ground they're making, though, devouring in, and Davis still has it, but he's forced into touch.
He
was closing in on those final few metres. Smile on his face as he gets back to his feet there, the Watsonians hooker and skipper.
Yeah, I didn't see it that way. Yeah, lads, that's enough. I didn't see that. I didn't see it that way.
Running out of room. Boroughmuir appealing their case.
I felt it was a second stop and then there's a breakaway, so I was happy to play on. I take your point, Ian, but I didn't see it that way that time, okay? Number 1, step out.
So we'll resume deep inside the Boroughmuir 22. Home side trailing by 12 points to 0.
3 don't change.
Tate's throwing. Tate joins the drive. Has security of the ball at the moment. It's back now with Rory Swan. His box kick again is a secure touch finder down towards the front of the stand. After it quickly was Angus Guthrie.
Just here, please.
It will be another Watsonians throw in, and a chance for them again on the half hour just to apply a little more pressure when these lineouts come thick and fast close to the opposition 22.
You'll get time to adjust.
It's a fine platform to build an attack.
Yeah, and I think Watsonians looked like they had a bit of control there, but credit to Boroughmuir.
Yeah, lads, just on the touch
towards the touch line and managed to get it into touch. But I feel Watsonians just seem to be on top at the moment, and Boroughmuir are, if anything, they're making it hard for them. But Watson's in in real control in terms of possession and territory.
Brand latching onto that loose bouncing ball that's taken play up right towards the edge of the 22, on towards Davis. Davis, solid tackle coming in there from Hamish Baines. Still Watsonians have it through their scrum half. Brand recycling ball on then towards the midfield, and once again making some solid ground. Brand has it once again. Quick touch back in field, and once more Boroughmuir organised the defence. Brand this time he had the support, and Sean Gunn just alongside him, the loose head prop. Brand goes in, just goes underneath the legs, finds Baggett once more. Baggett, little interchange, knocked forward by Watsonians. Boroughmuir have it just on the edge of the 22, offloaded there by Corey Tate.
Knock on advantage
towards the edge of that 22.
Lads, that's outside.
Swan.
Lads, it's outside.
Just controlling it from that
advantage
22.
over.
Attempted charge down of the box kicks from Carl Main. Underneath it is Harry Patterson. Carl Davis over the ball, so too Brand, the scrum half, who delivers the ammunition out towards Reynolds.
Advantage.
Handling error just brings play to a halt.
No advantage coming, it's a knock-on.
Signalled the knock-on close towards halfway. Craig Keddy applauds the efforts of his players as he's looking to try and get them on the front foot. And Lee, having watched this match now for 30-32 minutes, you can see that perhaps the absence of the likes of a Colleen Barretto or a Jordan Edmonds has been quite critical from a Boroughmuir point of view, because they were, two standout performers that were in and around, player of the match and some of the best players in the pick of the Suer6 players on show in the autumn, and subsequently they've ended up being part of the Scotland Sevens.
Yeah, and they're both progressing really well. You look at the championship season with Suer6 last year, and those guys,
there's about
Stuart,
7.5.
were really stand out in an influential position as scrum half, and then with Jordan on the wing, just that ability to break games like he's continued to do in the sevens. Those guys had so much experience and a big say on the way that Boroughmuir were playing. But it's up to these guys that are coming in to step up and
well set. Time back on, please.
And they'll just be looking to try and grab hold of this match.
I didn't see that
in the way that the likes of Colleen
if I feel it's not straight, I'll call
last season. It's up to these guys to step up and
time's on, so let's get moving, lads, please.
I suppose it's part of the pyramid system, part of the conveyor belt, part of the whole structure of this particular level of rugby, that there's opportunities elsewhere if you want to diversify, is maybe one way to put it, to focus in a little bit more on the sevens.
Please.
As we see Scott McGinley just near side the screen involved in this scrummage. McGinley on for the injured State. Boroughmuir then ball in from Rory Swan. Just at the feet there of Craig Kerry, was able to release it towards the scrum half. The penalty though awarded. Sean Gunn adjudged to have been driving rather scrunt.
Across the scrum.
So the Watsonians loose head prop is the player penalised, and it provides Harry Mercer a chance now, left-footed, to play this one into Watsonians territory. Supporters in the main stand watching on, many of them looking for a response from Graham Shields' side after what has been a bit of a tousy start for the home team.
Thank you.
But constructive opening from a Watsonians point of view, Lee, with those two tries just settling them in. And of course, third place in the table, if they were to win, they'd go top before the final match of the weekend comes up at 4:30.
Yeah, as I mentioned, they're looking fairly assured in this first half performance from a Boroughmuir point of view. Possession here as it's turned over, they're just looking to get hands on the ball and see.
Play on.
I'd love to see them get through a few phases and see their game.
Play on.
Yeah, Connie Tate's gone long a couple of times as Baggett tries to pick up and runs into some Boroughmuir traffic there.
Yeah, just
right
wait.
Towards the left-hand side. Reynolds again with the high left foot up and under. Once more the chase is on, but Boroughmuir are able to secure possession of the ball. Just going sideways there, a little lateral run from Tom Brown, accelerating on up towards halfway. The forwards coming in, recycled by Swan. The advantage coming away now off Boroughmuir for that late challenge. And Boroughmuir looking to try and gain some ground. How they would love something to take into half-time.
It's knocked on, but play advantage for a late tackle here.
The hands of the outside centre, Duncan Munn.
Have we got a mark, Neil?
Back to his feet.
Yeah. Okay. And for you, it's just a penalty only? Okay. Okay, and the number of the player?
Conversation with his assistant.
Okay. Okay, relax.
Boroughmuir's
I'm going to deal with this first and then I'll come and chat to you, Craig, okay?
Side player in the wars there.
Yeah. Listen,
receiving a bit of treatment.
It's coming from the side, it's a late tackle from you, just be very, very careful, okay? Thank you.
It's a game that at times has maybe been on the fringes, but it's been a clean contest so far. There's not been
we kind of see everything when we do see foul play. We will deal with it.
For Graham Ormiston or for his officials to be
thank you.
necessarily giving the players a stern word.
Yeah.
You know, it's just been an honest assessment he's given.
Yeah, and I think he's we can hear it on the mic there, he's communicating effectively to his players. Across the different areas.
You can't just chuck it into him to buy a penalty because you're not. I think it's a bit low for you to be able to do that. If he's in the way and he obstructs your pass, I will penalise him. But on that occasion, you can't just chuck it on the floor against him to try and get a penalty.
Very well to
you can't, because you're not going to be able to pass to your player if you throw it like that. Okay, just make sure that you're trying to pass it to your player.
You want the referee to be clear, to be clear in his decisions, and I think
relax,
he's doing that really well so far.
Relax.
He's quite keen on the word relax.
Penalty here, late tackle.
He's late tackle. Chilled, that's for sure.
It's a penalty. That's where we're going. Yeah.
So off we go once again with Harry Mercer looking to play this downfield. Still getting used to these very faint Watsonians numbers, just the outline of the numbers from a distance, looking to identify the players. It's quite a fine outline of the numbers on the white backs, and I think both strips have got the same sort of embroidered numbers on the backs.
Yeah, they weren't thinking of the commentators when they were putting those together.
Not with my eyesight anyway, I'll tell you. That's my excuse. Corey Tate with the throw. Doesn't go long this time, but it is won by his scrum half, Rory Swan. Tate have gone long twice with throw-ins. Now, we were talking about the pleasant nature of the contest. They're as pleasant as a Edinburgh Derby can be, and things change with the yellow card shown to Rory Brand. Now, we did see and we did hear Graham Ormiston spend some time with Brand just a few moments ago, also in conversation with Craig Keddy. But Brand will be in the sin bin. This will be interesting to see how it changes the complexion of the game, because this will straddle half time.
Yeah, this is a real opportunity for Boroughmuir to kind of get themselves into the match.
I've went with yellow, that's
down, and not only a man down, but
I've got a split second to make his decision, Craig, and we've went with yellow.
It's a tough position to cover, so it'll be interesting to see what Watsonians do from that point of view. But losing your scrum half in a specialist position is something that may have quite a knock-on effect to the way the team are playing.
From the line out, and just a little bit of pushing and shoving there as the referee shows the yellow card to Brand. And I think it was, coming in on the perhaps in the back of the challenge from Gregor Skugel as well. So he'll just be watching on. So there's a change at 9 as well for Boroughmuir, with Rory Swan making his way to the edge of the pitch.
There's fine.
Of course, the replacements, Murray Johnston, Ronan Cairn and Scott as back replacements.
Just here. Thank you. Lads, nothing in there, no side entries, okay?
1-0 Watsonians 12. Chance here now for scrum half Murray Johnston, it is, who is on for Rory Swan. Just like position, they've been inside Watsonians territory, and you can see the new fresh legs of Murray Johnston just in the picture as well. With the ball carrier Corey Tate. Johnston will get the ball now, just reverses it out towards the right hand side in the direction of Mercer. It's a slightly isolated figure, taking it from almost a standing start. Boroughmuir forced backwards just
leave
at
it,
the moment,
but leave, thank you.
Injured, and so too it would seem Swan. Murray Johnston is now on, and Johnston looking to get himself immediately involved once again with that recycled ball. Quick touch there from Jack Fisher.
we're going to play advantage.
Possession of the ball again, just up towards the edge of the 22 with Boroughmuir hands.
Still playing knock-on advantage.
The worst possible opportunity from their point of view.
Inside.
As it comes back now to Reynolds.
Advantage over.
Reynolds just spins away. Seems to be a little disappointed by that kick. It bounces once and then ends up in touch. Perhaps a better effort than he was expecting it to be.
Perfect. Yeah, if
but
you take the line,
you see Boroughmuir here.
Take the line.
Recycling ball.
Yeah, take the line.
There was the contact
That's
coming in.
It
was the little pop pass there from Jack Fisher onto Scott McGinley. McGinley, the other replacement in this first half for Boroughmuir, dislodged from the hands of McGinley, and that presented with Watsonians with that exit opportunity.
Time to adjust.
I think we're seeing it time and again. Boroughmuir get hold of a bit of possession, which they've not had a lot of, but they get through a few phases, they make a bit of ground, and it's just that last pass. They're playing right on top of the line with Watsonians, and that's just applying, making the window for that offload of that pass really short.
McGinley with an initial good carry. Corey Tate with the latest one. Momentum has dropped just ever so slightly as the ball just ricocheting just off
I think
feet
it's off his
there.
Foot initially, then it's knocked on. It's a scrum.
You see the frustration on the faces of some of these Boroughmuir players as they're desperately looking for something before half time, off the foot and then off the hand. And Brandon Sweet is carrying a slightly disconsolate expression, and body language just now is that of a disconsolate character. I'm sure he'll get himself sorted out before this scrummage, just short of that 10-metre line. Reynolds incidentally is going to feed the ball in the absence of Brand. So the two centres scoring the tries. Reynolds with the first in 8 minutes. Berg closer to the half-hour mark.
It's both of you. Relax. Make sure we're clearly left of the mark and we don't be head to head, okay? Space left.
Trying to ensure there'll be no further cards shown before the half-time whistle. It's imminent.
There's 20 seconds left. That clock's correct. Crouch!
It's a first half that has in fits and starts. It's had its moments, but it hasn't had the rhythm and fluency of maybe some other halves of rugby in this competition so far.
Yeah, definitely agree. From both sides' point of view, actually.
That's time.
So we've reached half time, and the ball is played in towards the front of the stand. The referee then whistles for the interval, and it's Watsonians who will take a 12-0 lead into half-time. The two centres scoring the tries. Joe Reynolds opening the scoring in 8 minutes. A fine piece of splinter running. In fairness, some similarities to both the tries. Berg with the second, Joe Reynolds with the first. It was Reynolds' try that was converted by Jason Baggett to give Watsonians a 12-0 lead. Boroughmuir have gone to the bench on 2 occasions to bring on Scott McGinley for the injured Reece Tate, and then shortly before the interval, Louis Swan was replaced by Murray Johnson. And you can see the referee in conversation with the Boroughmuir Bears fullback Tom Brown as he'll head to the interval for the short break between halves, and a chance to get a brief assessment of that first 40 minutes from Lee Jones.
Yeah, I think on the whole we're looking at Watsonians have been fairly dominant. I think you look at just the Boroughmuir body language across the 15 towards the end of that half, they probably sensed a real opportunity with the yellow card to potentially get into the corner and get onto the scoreboard, but like I said, body language across the park, they look pretty frustrated, and it's probably frustrated viewing for a Boroughmuir fan that just that last pass is always resulting in a knock on, and like I say, they're trying to play on top of the line, maybe forcing it a bit because they've not had a lot of possession, and then when they do get it, just pushing it a wee bit too far, and so they've really not had a massive say in terms of possession in this match. But Watsonians have looked a lot more comfortable in the ball, a lot more comfortable in their shape, and as much as it's been scrappy at times for them, they've scored 2 good tries, and I feel like they've controlled the first half of the match.
The thoughts there of Lee Jones as we head into half time. Boroughmuir Bears 0, Watsonians Rugby 12. Now, often at half time we like to give you a little behind the scenes feature, and this week we were along at Meggetland to meet the former Edinburgh lock forward Alex Toulis. who's now with Boroughmuir Bears as the forwards coach and is the Boroughmuir Academy performance manager. And we wanted to hear about their pathway system, which has seen the likes of Jordan Edmonds and Colleen Barretto go on to play for the Scotland Sevens. And we also spoke to the Boroughmuir Bears and Scotland under-18 back rower Liam McConnell.
I've got a bit of a dual role, so I'm the Academy Performance Manager with the youth section and also the Boroughmuir Bears Super 6 forwards coach. It's quite a unique position I'm in, having really focusing on that player pathway, and then, as well with seniors, into semi-professional rugby. So a fairly important role I feel like I've got here, but a job I'm loving at the moment. I guess the main purpose is that long aid development of the youth section, the youth players, grassroots rugby, and really about supporting them and providing them as much opportunity as they're getting older, that developing, and just really highlighting that, giving them as much opportunity and support as I possibly can to, I guess, help them become the best players they can possibly be. We've got our player development pathway system, so massive, because it gives something, our players something to strive to, and that incentive. So we're more or less got 9 or 10 players who have just come out of the under-18 Scottish Cup champions. They're now training with the Bears, 2 of them being fully contracted. And they're transitioning into senior rugby. Kids look up to them and go, oh, Cleve and Jordan, they're products of Boroughmuir. Especially Jordan. He's played here since he was a little kid. He played through the first. And some would probably say he was a late bloomer, but it just shows, if you stick at it and you keep working hard, anything can happen. So, I mean, they're just great products of the club, good role models for the younger guys coming through, and they're just prime examples of that, the pathway systems here at Boroughmuir. And hopefully that brings players go, I want to play my rugby at Boroughmuir because of those products, such as those players. Super 6 is, I think it's something that Scottish rugby has obviously wanted to do for a long time, but now that it's here, and it's just only going to keep getting better and better, and that's going to really, I guess, slingshot Scottish rugby forward, up the tier ranks of world rugby, and hopefully we're going to see more and more younger players getting into that, Scotland national team.
I started off around P2, P3 at Stuart's Melville Lions. Sort of just went along there. My brother's a couple of years above me played, so I think I sort of went along to their sessions and then eventually got involved in my own year. As soon as I started high school, so S1 is when I started at Boroughmuir, and then have been here ever since, so about 5-6 years. Maybe in my 3rd or 4th year here, so about S4. And Boroughmuir just sort of launched their academy, and that was just really good for all the players, like a lot of extra sessions, and it just sort of taken it a wee bit more seriously, I would say. And then, I think all those extra sessions, all the extra time here just really helped with developing me and all the other boys, and the number of sessions a week were increased, and then we started gym sessions as well, which really helped downstairs in the gym, so everything was here, and some extra pitch sessions a couple of times a week as well, so pitch and gym, and then there was a few sessions up in the classrooms up there where it was just sort of like goal setting and things like that, so really good. All the boys were really up for the game, and it would have been such a shame not to go out on a win. So that was a great day for the club and all the under-18s team. France was amazing. Three really tough games. Really good to get the win vs Italy as well, but a shame on the last game day vs England. We just fell short. But the 3 games out there were class and a lot of learnings. It's quite cool to see that you can be playing for Boroughmuir Bears, and you can still make the step up into national level. It's never too late. And yeah, just really good to see two boys that you've watched for a few years do really well.
And our thanks to Liam McConnell, and earlier we heard from Alex Toulis, the former Edinburgh lock forward, in his role as the Boroughmuir Bears forwards coach and Boroughmuir Academy performance manager. And Lee, we were talking there as well. It was really interesting listening to first of all Alex Toulis and Liam McConnell about development, about the pathway system and the wider roles of a lot of individuals within the club and within the system to give people many opportunities. And we've talked in the first half about Colleen Barretto and Jordan Edmonds has been two examples, and there'll be other clubs. Each of these clubs in this competition will have exactly the same mindset and the determination to make these opportunities available for their groups of players.
Yeah, and it's a huge part of this competition. I think I heard Alex talk about there that the link to the Boroughmuir as a club as well, and the fact that Jordan particularly, he'd come through the club, so he's got young guys looking up to him who's progressed through the club into Suer6 and then on to international honours with the Sevens, and he's shown that the way that pathway can work, and the more players we can get through that, and playing professional rugby in Scotland, and that's better for the game as a whole, and as you say, that'll be happening across clubs, but Colleen and Jordan are two prime examples of that, at Boroughmuir particularly.
Well, back to the action at Meggetland this afternoon. It is half time. It's Boroughmuir Bears 0, Watsonians 12. 2 tries then in the first half. Watsonians taking the lead in 8 minutes through Joe Reynolds. Now this was the Reynolds score here. Power and determination from the edge of the 22, and his experience taking the inside centre across for a try, receiving the ball on the edge of the 22. A little dummied pass was going to bring Berg into play, backed himself to score, beat the challenge of Glenn Faulds, and that was a fine piece of play from the inside centre.
Yeah, keeping the defence honest, and as we said, for all money, looks like that ball's going out the back, but he's really attacked the line, and he's got the pace and the finish as well. So Joey coming back in from injury, he's had a big boost in this first half, and I'm sure he ended the half at scrum half there, but he'll have a big part to play in the second half also. And
that one converted by the consistent character of the fly half, Jason Baggett. Now here is the second try. This was Berg backing himself a little closer to the 22 when he started the run, but again similarities in the score. Brand with the pass, cutting a line, evading 2 challenges, and then a real powerful piece of running to finish off a fine move there, and all credit to Berg taking the congratulations of his teammates.
Yeah, watching that back, he actually had quite a lot to do in terms of, yes, he made the initial break through that link zone, but he had the finish as well, and the step off the right just to wrong foot Glenn Faulds. It's a strong finish, and it's been a strong centre partnership for the Watsons in this first half.
Maggett's kick on this occasion just wide of the uprights, so that completed the scoring at half time. 12 points to 0. There was a few other flash points though. This was Boroughmuir with arguably their most meaningful attack, again out towards Rhys Tate. Tate was trying to play a little grubber kick through into the 22. Intricate play at close quarters there from Mercer, worked its way out towards Tate, and the challenge coming in from loose ball, just preventing the back row forward from playing the ball into that 22. Of course, as well, just 4 minutes before half time, a yellow card shown to Rory Brand. So Watsonians going in at half time 12-0 in front, but a man down, so they'll play the opening stages of this second period down a man, but 12 points to the good on the board. Back underway, and within the first 10 seconds or so, a little infringement just on the edge of that 10 metre line, and Graham Almaston has refereed. He's been very vocal, clear in his instructions during the first 40 minutes. Watsonians handling, letting them down just on the edge of the 10 metre line, and a chance for Murray Johnson, one of 2 Boroughmuir replacements in the first half. Rhys Tate did pick up an injury. He was replaced by Scott McGinley. McGinley had a good run as well in the closing stages of the first half, and Murray Johnson also on at scrum half in place of Rory Swan. So Johnson will feed the ball into the scrum, and just shepherding him at the moment is Jason Baggett, taking over that sort of scrum half role just momentarily. As you can see, again the ball works its way from Mercer out towards this left hand side, having to work it round the corner. Boroughmuir almost in touch there, but recycled by Johnson. Through the midfield once more, ball carrier this time is the hard working Hughes Bain. Forced backwards, picked up by Kerry though on halfway. Boroughmuir again just trying to straighten up. Mark McGinley taking the ball into contact, recycled by Johnson. Still they have possession through Johnson. Grubber kick this time from Mercer, poked down towards the edge of the 22, but back is Patterson. Challenge comes in and Patterson clears it the second time of asking. Perhaps felt he needed to address the immediate situation coming towards him before he could confidently play it down the park, and that's a touch finder which ends up between the 10 and the 22, and that's eaten up the first 2 minutes of this second half, and 2 minutes more of that yellow card.
Yeah, it's a smart kick by Harry Mercer. It was a scrappy sort of set piece play. It looked like Boroughmuir had created a bit of space, but there was good pressure in defence by Joey Reynolds, and again it just got a bit scrappy face on face. So good decision by Harry Mercer to put the ball through, and it was a good clearance by Harry Patterson as well, assured.
Mercer with the challenge there as Watsonians winning the ball just in the line. Baggett goes in, just has a look at the options to his right hand side. Watsonians still using Baggett as the optional scrum half on towards Reynolds. Long left footed kick downfield again, just aiming for that Boroughmuir right hand corner, but picked up by Glenn Faulds. Little chip and chase. Gathered close towards halfway. Grubber kick through. The chase is on. Ball just bouncing off the pads of the flag just on the edge of the 22 as Joe Jenkins was back. So too was Glenn Faulds. Angus Guthrie was the Watsonians player that was giving chase, and the ball is back in the safe hands of Corey Tate. Been an important interval for both coaches, given the circumstances when you lost the services of your scrum half to a yellow card and starting down a man at the beginning of the second period. Watsonians would certainly have addressed that amongst other things, but Boroughmuir will be looking for more go forward in the early stages of the second half, and Jack Fisher has won the ball in the line. Reaching in is Johnson, looking to play the grubber or perhaps use a little bit of blindside, but launches one forward. Box kick as opposed to grubber, I should say, as it's now Maisie run taking Watsonians up towards and just beyond that 10 metre line. Once more again Baggett at half back, Reynolds with the little touch. Patterson was coming forward there on rushing the young fullback. Baggett will go in again. He cycles ball. Reynolds is a bit of a decoy in this occasion, so too Carl Davis the skipper. Up with play also is Loman McPherson, who's pulled in off his wing. Davis with the recycled ball. Boroughmuir look to reorganise. Maybe a little bit too pedestrian at the moment from Watsonians as the eye up opportunities. Baggett's box kick is gathered. It was a curious one which just provided Boroughmuir with an opportunity to at least play it back down into the Watsonians half of the field. And this tentative opening period of the second half continues. Loman McPherson at least getting a touch of the ball, albeit the ball just going out of play, and it provides his captain with the throw-in opportunity. No change in the scoreline or in the personnel, so Watsonians remain 12-0 in front. Lee Jones once more.
Yeah, I think both defences early on in the second half are on top, so what we're seeing is both teams trying to get the ball through phases, realising they're potentially not making great inroads and then opting for the kick. So I think we'll see that kicking game come into play, and I think what's important, as I mentioned before, is when you pull the trigger, and that will often be up to the back three guys, to the 10, to the 12, the guys that are in the thick of that, to decide when the ball needs to shift, and that's when we'll be able to see opportunities for both sides.
Davis towards the back, secure, winning in the line out there as Watsonians now have it once more with the skipper. Baggett watching on. Davis now almost at a standstill there, wrapped in the tackle though and goes to ground. That was good work from Jack Fisher. Back it comes through the hands of Baggett. Almost 6 minutes of the second half played, so Watsonians will very soon be back to a full complement of players. That Reynolds kick just ricocheting off the hands. It's been picked up there by Lewis Berg. The two try scorers trying to link up. The ball goes loose rather than tidy back inside the Boroughmuir 22, and the referee will come back after that ball was dislodged there. It was partly charged down when Reynolds actually tried to clear from the left-footed kick, and that altered the running lines of a lot of the players that were beginning to give chase on that kick downfield. And as you'll see on the screen, the yellow card has been removed. Rory Brand is back on the field of play, or back to a full complement. In fact, what Watsonians have chosen to do is, rather than bring Brand back onto play, they've brought Rowan Frostwick, the replacement scrum half, on at scrum half for the remainder of the game, I would imagine. So no change apart from that number 9 switch with Brand off. So that yellow card, that's further frustration, I would imagine, for Brand not being able to get back on and get back involved in the action. So it's another little twist in the tail this afternoon, but still a low scoring contest at 12-0.
Yeah, Rowan Frostwick coming on there. He's had a bit of experience with Edinburgh and in training there, so it'd be interesting to see how, as a scrum half coming off the bench, you often, it's a great opportunity to have an influence on the game and really inject some pace. And I think whenever you see a scrum half coming off the bench, you know, you'll see a real step up in tempo regardless. Frostwick will be looking to bring that into the game and hopefully keep Watsonians on the front foot from their point of view.
Yeah, both changes coming before the hour mark. There's their first glimpse this afternoon of Rowan Frostwick wearing 21 in the picture alongside his opposite number, who's Murray Johnson, who's been on the park a little bit longer and made a contribution himself so far. Frostwick hands and hips at the moment, just will settle into this contest. 6 minutes of the second half gone. That, I think, will be, well, it has been Watsonians' first change. And there it is confirmed on the screen. So as you were at half time, Johnson in now. Frostwick just making him aware that he's on his shoulder. There's the Boroughmuir scrum half now. Looks to orchestrate something. Down the left they go, running into traffic. McPherson with the block challenge. He's cycled by Johnson once again. Up and just over halfway. Johnson goes in once more. Recycles ball again. It's deflected. Goes a little loose. Picked up then by Harry Mercer. Goes again almost into the body of the Kirk there. Johnston again looks to make the ball available. As a look at the options just out towards his right hand side. Once more Hamish Bain trying to work it round the corner. Up and over halfway he goes. Reinforcements coming in. Johnston's box kick is an inviting one. Underneath it, it's gathered and just forced into touch there on the edge of the 22 at very close quarters. Watsonians just running out of room there as they were tracking back just to try and ensure that Boroughmuir would go no further than the edge of the 22, and Patterson was across very quickly but just almost toes in touch.
Yeah, Boroughmuir get the result they were looking for from the box kick there, but I'd like to see that a wee bit more competitive. If that was a wee bit more competitive from Murray Johnson, do Boroughmuir then have the opportunity to win that ball back in the air? They got the result, getting Harry Patterson into touch there, but I'd like to see that a wee bit more competitive.
Ball won in the air by Jack Fisher from the Corey Tate throw. Tate has it again. No further damage inflicted on Boroughmuir, but from a situation as high up the park as this, they look to try and exploit something. Johnson with that little pass towards the left hand side again towards centre field. He was up with play, but so too is his skipper here, Craig Keddy. Carries well. Johnson once more over the head there of Hamish Bain. Picked up ball, goes loose on rushing defence, led there by Lewis Berg, one of their two try scorers this afternoon. Johnson has it again, this time tries to bring McGinley into play. He'd one decent carry in his time in the first half since coming off the bench. Keddy once more, loose head is Brandon Sweet. Sweet goes to deck, mopped up by Johnson. Mercer back in towards Johnson. That was tidy stuff from the half-backs, a little unconventional but worked well, and on goes Robbie McCallum, but stripped, and Watsonians have it once more between their 10 and 22. They go to deck. Frostwick in. Has a look at what options he has. Feeds the ball back. Baggett, edge of the 22, launches it forward. On the Boroughmuir right hand side. Chance now once more, Mercer up towards the halfway line. Johnson in behind him. Has it now. Trying to bring in once more some reinforcements. Carrier just goes to deck before Johnson delivers the box kick downfield. And that finds touch just beyond the halfway line. A little bit indecision on exactly where the ball went out, but it's now just beyond that 10 metre line. It'll be a throw, and Boroughmuir will feed the ball into this line out, and a chance now with the scoreline at 12 points to 0 for Boroughmuir again to try and press and probe and get a little bit closer to the 22. I suppose that's their first objective. A replacement in the forwards, Callum Smith. Stripped and ready, and now on the field of play. Martin McGinley's afternoon is done, and Callum Smith is on as a replacement tight head. Just a little bit of interference on our referees, Mike. We'll try and correct that during the course of this second half. We're slightly restricted in listening to the words of wisdom of Graham Ormiston this afternoon, but he's officiated this contest and has shown the one yellow card so far in the game. Only 50 minutes old, mind you, but played on there by Callum Smith, immediately looking to get involved in the action. Ormiston picked up the knock on, so back they will come for a set play. 11 minutes of the second half gone, and it's been a tentative start to the second period. It's if you were in a car, you would feel you're still searching for third gear.
Yeah, I think both sides. Boroughmuir have had a wee bit more possession in the start of the second half, but I think they're just struggling to find their shape, struggling to find the runners. Murray Johnson, you can see he's almost looking for those guys coming around the corner who aren't quite there just in time, and we're lacking a wee bit of fluidity from a Boroughmuir point of view, so they're struggling to find their way into the game, and then there's been a few knock-ons either way, so the second half's really not coming to life yet, but it's a good set piece here, a left-hand side scrum from Watson, so it'll be interesting to see, depending on the way this wind is blowing, what they choose to do here, whether it's a kicking option or whether they look to put some ball to width.
It's turned into a very wet, damp, one of those sort of dreich afternoons, late April afternoons in the capital. As I say, the swath of rain coming across much of the central belt this afternoon. And then Frostwick then feeds the ball into this scrum, and Watsonians will, there's a bit of pressure being applied, but work it back towards Frostwick. He launches it forward downfield, and it's gathered there. Tom Brown is able to adjust his footing there, play the ball downfield, at least clear the 10 metre line. But Watsonians will have the throw-in back on the 10.
We're making a change.
That sounds that Graham Ormiston is in good health and good voice, and we'll have the company of our match referee now, hopefully through to the conclusion of the game.
Also, net gain there by Watsonians. I think they were almost forced through Boroughmuir's work in the scrum down that short side, but it was smart play by Rowan Frostwick just to put the ball, and you could hear in the ref's mic there that the 50-22 was on, but Tom Brown's managed to gather it in time, and it gives Watsons another attacking platform.
Good work there from Lewis Ball, and good carry from Van Niekerk as well, so the two lock forwards linking up well in the line out, and then in the resulting open play Reynolds goes in just to try and secure ball once more for Watsonians. Decent carry once again, as you see that Jason Baggett, we did get a glimpse of him on the picture just running towards the front of the main stand. His afternoon is done. Lee Miller is on, and of course we mentioned Lee Miller in our introduction, back from injury, was going to start this afternoon on the bench alongside the likes of Ryan Daly. Lee Miller is now on, so a change at both 9 and 10 for Watsonians. FOSROC on in 46 minutes and Lee Miller on 7-8 minutes later. But, Corey Tate's afternoon continues to be a busy one as he'll throw the ball into this Boroughmuir line. Receiving a word in the ear from Brandon Sweet. Throw in then for Tate. Contested by both sides. Ball goes loose, played forward there. I think that came off the boot there of Jack Fisher, but it's back now with the youngster Harry Patterson. Patterson just watches his kick just ricochet off the top of the main stand here. Somebody does have it, struck some corrugated iron. As once more he's back in position. Corey Tate ready to throw the ball in. We'll be getting used to this part of the park by now.
Just a young guy as well, Corey Tate, 18 years of age, so ability for him to get this game experience week on week with Boroughmuir is great for his development.
Listening to that and listening to Lee McConnell talking about international age grade opportunities, but being with a club like Boroughmuir, and that's a real powerful run from Corey Tate there, just showing some determination. Johnston, ball again goes loose, and the advantage will come the way of Watsonians as they try and mop things up there. FOSROC with a sort of round the corner kick downfield. He did very well indeed, but it's back now with Boroughmuir. They want to inject a little bit of pace into the attack now as it's over towards Joe Jenkins, but the referee just intervenes once more as Boroughmuir were beginning to work through the phases that little bit quicker. Forward pass though, been picked up by the referee, and a little smile on his face as you can see this was a decent exit under some pressure there. Rowan FOSROC, the ball played downfield, he was keen to get on with it, as you see it was picked up on this left hand side. So Mercer with the pass, and it was Mercer's ball there that was just that little bit too far forward there, picked up by the referee. Clear infringement with the forward pass. Jenkins stopped in his tracks. Scrummage then Watsonians on halfway.
It's frustrating, isn't it? You could see Harry Mercer's idea, get back down that short side where there's less defenders and get the ball into Joe Jenkins' hands, who we've not seen much of, but he's a Wales Sevens cap, and it'd be good to see him in a bit of space.
Scrum crumples there, but the referee allowing FOSROC to pick up just at the base, on in towards the replacement Lee Miller on at fly half, and that's pinged nicely downfield. But we get to see that, I think that's just a little bit too nice there as it's out on the full.
What are you seeing on your side, Sam?
So come back and be a throw in inside Watsonians territory. So it was a nice idea, but just too much on it. Again, maybe trying to read a gust of wind or something like that. And the kick downfield, one idea comes to nothing, presents another opportunity though for
just make sure
Boroughmuir team. Boroughmuir 0, Watsonians 12, the scoreline. Nothing changed since the interval.
You can see Watsonians employing that strategy, just Joey Reynolds with his left foot. They've used it on a few occasions, not coming off that time, but I think this game's just dying out for someone to kind of take it by the scruff of the neck and really change proceedings.
Johnson's kick down. Free kick awarded there. Perhaps call the mark.
Okay, relax. Not 10.
11,
not
Angus
10.
Guthrie. Boroughmuir
Mark will be here.
not back at 10.
Back 10, please. Just wait. Yes. Okay. Free kick. Yeah, it's a free kick.
Free kick awarded then to Watsonians as we approach the hour mark. Nearly 58 minutes gone. This game's still very much up for grabs. Converted score for Boroughmuir coming fairly soon. We changed the complexion of it somewhat. And one of the lower scoring affairs in this FOSROC Super 6 competition. Of course, we mentioned the second of the matches played this weekend. There was our usual instalment of Friday Night Rugby, this time coming from the Green Yards last night. An win for Stirling County that propelled them to the top of the table. A win for Watsonians this afternoon would see them go top before our second match of the afternoon, Ayrshire Bulls against Heriots, coming live at 4:30. Watsonians now back in possession of the ball with the green and blue Boroughmuir spread across that Watsonians 10-metre line, and FOSROC deliver another box kick, looking for opportunities to release some pace there. Watsonians with the chase, all seem to be behind the kicker as that goes literally through the legs there. The scrum half, Murray Johnson, couldn't quite read the flight of the ball.
There's no advantage, it's a scrum.
Another interruption to play. A few knock-ons in the second period, Lee. You wonder if it's the slippiness of the ball, because the rain has certainly increased in its intensity as Watsonians look to make a couple of changes in the second row and the front row.
Yeah, Stuart, I think definitely we can see the weather starting to have an impact on the decisions that the players are making out there. We're seeing the majority of the play over that far side. Both teams exchanging high ball on box kick, and I think that must be down to the ball's getting pretty slippy out there, and like you say, we've seen a few knock-ons as well.
We're just getting their nines just coming back from some treatment.
From a Watson's point of view, them being 12-0 up,
okay,
they put up a box kick, and Boroughmuir potentially putting the pressure and knock on there. That's a good result for them, because they're in control in terms of the game, and we'll see how the weather affects the rest of the proceedings.
Set.
Crumbles there. Sean Gunn has been replaced by Cole Imrie. And I think Ian Carmichael is also on for Corey Tate. A change in the Boroughmuir front row with a change of hooker. Patrick Harrison on for nose ball. Change. So the change is now coming thick and fast on the hour mark with 20 minutes to go. Many of the coaches looking just to throw the dice one more time, see how things are going to pan out in the final quarter of this game. So a chance now for Carmichael throwing the ball in. Carl Davis also off. Kieran Watt is on. We did see Patrick Harrison also coming on his picture as well. So a change with you'd imagine Harrison in place of Carl Davis. Recycle ball. Boroughmuir then looking now at some open play on the field. Adam Scott also on for Harry Mercer. So another change in the back line. We did get a glimpse of Scott in the picture just a moment ago, but he's on for Mercer. Ball goes loose despite the best attentions there of Scott McGinley. Knocking on, another knock on. These knock-ons are racking up, and they're going to infuriate Boroughmuir much more so than they are Watsonians, given the scoreline and the time played.
Yeah, I think it's almost, unfortunately, it's the story of their game so far. It's just come down to we forced pass and knock on. I've mentioned it before, but I think especially now with weather coming in, it's interesting to see Adam Scott off the bench. He played the first two matches of this competition on the wing, but he seems to have come in for Harry Mercer at 10 there, so be interesting to see his influence on the game. He's been in with Scotland Sevens a bit around training, and he's obviously got the pace to play on the wing, but interesting to see how he brings that into the stand-off position.
Played in by FOSROC. Picked up then, number 8 position, carried on up towards just beyond that 10-metre line by Moody.
Stay on.
Recycling again through FOSROC. Good carried. Beyond the 10. Now they want to recycle quickly, but if you clearly want to get players rolled out the way in defence, reorganised. Powerful running again from Watsonians and Lee Miller. FOSROC once more. Watsonians with the drive. Boroughmuir Bales trailing by 12 points. The ball played into contact. Player not able to release. Penalty awarded to Boroughmuir. The home side looking to get on with things very quickly. May well have been Patrick Harrison, the player, penalised for taking the ball into contact. And a chance for Boroughmuir then to exit from almost the edge of the 22.
It's just the first bit of momentum we'd seen probably in the second half from Watsons. They got some front football. It was a good injection of pace by Lee Miller.
Watsons
but then Jack Fisher came in from a very good point of view and managed to win the turnover. So again, we go back to set piece.
Ian Carmichael with the throw. Once again, Brandon Sweet, loose head, usually has the line out instructions for the call. Again going long. This time that's one as Johnson feeds the ball back. Scott with a little touch. And go down the centre. Watsonians organise the defence once more. Johnson in again. Spinning around there was Ewan Ferry. Back now through the half-back partnership. Adam Scott taking the ball up and into Watsonians territory. Now the determination of Kerry to make sure that Boroughmuir still are on the go forward. Up towards the edge of that 22. Recycled ball. Bringing the lock forward into play now. Hamish Bain. Bain is flattened short of that 22. Look to recycle once more through Johnson. Out towards this left-hand side in position there is Ian Carmichael. Replacement scrum half. Johnson goes in again. Just directing operations with that right hand. Right arm out. It's snatched and turnover ball, and Watsonians have it. And picked up through Lee Miller. Recycling up towards that halfway line. Decent carry there from Kieran Watt. Just on the park as well. Frostwick once again. Decent carry and recycle, but challenge coming in from the prop forward Callum Smith. So all the replacements really now becoming central figures. Reynolds out towards the left hand side now. Suddenly some pace for Watsonians. A little bit of room down that left hand channel. They need to reorganise and go once more. Frostwick just behind the ball carriers, the scrum half. 65 minutes on the clock, 15 to go. No change since half time in the score. 2 tries, Joe Reynolds and Bruce Berg with the scores. That latest Watsonians attempt at closing in on the edge of the 22. Boroughmuir will have the put in at the scrum. That Boroughmuir attempt comes to nothing. They were beginning to get up ahead of steam there though, Lee.
Yeah, I think for the first time Boroughmuir looked like a different side in those few phases just before the turnover from Watsonians. You had the breakthrough from the ruck like Kerry. Different players at scrum half, they were moving the ball, they were looking to offload, and you could see the momentum they were building just with that one wee half break and the difference that made, almost to their body language and the way they were playing the game. Ultimately it ended in a turnover, but it was good to see them just get a wee bit ahead of steam and string a few phases together. They'll be looking to try get a lot more of that as the half goes on, because we've not seen much of it.
Lads, clearly left. Let's not have this head to head again.
Let's keep this up here, Sonny. Let's go now, boys. Let's go.
Frostwick just encouraging his forwards for another solid effort in the scrum.
Nice and straight.
His opposite number will feed the ball into the scrummage. Johnson.
Crouch.
Again, a good talent pool for these squads, these sides, these coaches to pick from. Squads are sizable. And a little battle won this time by Boroughmuir.
Tight head claps.
But each time they provide a platform, they've got to then try and execute it with fewer mistakes, you have to say, as another replacement made. Chris Anderson on for Brandon Sweet. But now they've the platform, they want a good throw in here from Carmichael, a good jump and winning the line.
Yeah,
tight head of pressure, and Watsonians will be mindful of that. You know, with each passing minute, they're still protecting this 12-0 lead.
Better height.
As much as Boroughmuir have struggled to really impose themselves in this game, 12-0 as a scoreline, as you mentioned before, Stuart, if a converted try really changes the reflection of this game.
This is Johnson goes in now looking for the ball. It's become available to him. Another knock on halfway. Referee allowing play to continue with the advantage. Picked up there by Harry Patterson. Patterson is devoured in the tackle there. Frostwick mops up. Watsonians try to work it down the right hand side. Lee Miller takes the ball back into contact. Frostwick once more. Still they try and work it down the right hand channel. Patrick Harrison almost in touch there. Frostwick, you can see how close they are towards that near side touchline. Recycling ball once again. It's back in the hands of the Myerside men, who are leading by 12 points to 0, who are heading to the top of the table before the final match of this weekend comes up at 4:30. Bucks kick this time from Frostwick. Plenty of height on the kick. Again inviting the challenge, but gathered in the air by Joe Reynolds. He mentioned that we haven't seen much of Reynolds, certainly been able to attack the ball in open play. Played downfield by Tom Brown. Gathered this time by his opposite number, Patterson. Goes in a mazy run, evades one challenge. Nice little offload on that left hand side. Watsonians looking to try and cut back infield. FOSROC in good position to mop things up and recycle ball, and suddenly through the hands of Miller once more. The momentum's just picked up just that little bit more as Reynolds takes the ball into contact. Grubber kick through this time from FOSROC. That's an intelligent one, and Watsonians have played crossfield left to right, and they're down inside that 22 and eating up a little bit more time as they close in the final 11 minutes. And the animated figure of Rowan FOSROC just continuing to look for more from his team.
It's a brilliant few phases from Watsonians there. Looking to probe on the width, and Harry Patterson had a lovely touch on the far side. Let's put Watson's on the front foot, and then it's so much easier kicking on the front foot, and you can see Rowan FOSROC really energising the guys, trying to keep the energy up.
Yeah, time's on, let's go, Boroughmuir.
On the front foot he manages to put that ball through and pin Boroughmuir back, so it's great play by him, the scrum half.
And Stuart on for Hamish Bain. Stuart was drafted into the match day 23 at relatively short notice after the call-up for Gregor Brown. Called up by Glasgow Warriors. That meant a relatively late change for Graham Shield in the Boroughmuir set-up for today's game. Picked up then Keddy, again just leaning in on that left shoulder. Just over 10 minutes of the contest left to play.
Stay on, back. Thank you.
Johnson's kick beyond the 22, beyond the 10. Watsonians, the right wing underneath it, McPherson. Ball goes across field there and straight out, and McPherson gets himself back to his feet.
Has it been touched, Neil?
Just over, well, just now under, in fact, 10 minutes to go. We'll see this box kick from Johnston. Again, it was really down the throat of
there's enough people here.
Longman McPherson.
Enough people here. Okay.
He runs the ball in the line. Again, eyeing up his
we'll just get in a wee bit,
He's got the kick all wrong.
Lads, just a wee bit at the front.
See the space, you could see what he was thinking. I wonder if there's often space off the counter-attack there to the width, and you wonder if, had that been a pre-planned move and it was executed, then they could have found a bit of space, or potentially it was in McPherson playing that off the cuff because he's seen that space, but unfortunately didn't quite come off.
Recycle ball, you sometimes wonder pre-planned moves, you know, it just takes one little aspect of it to not quite come off, and it just looks little unsure and untidy on the eye. That was good phase of play there. Patterson again, Reynolds in the thick of it. Patterson was the ball carrier. Now the reinforcements come up in the form of the forwards. FOSROC goes in once again, just on the edge of that 22, looking to recycle ball. Back towards the left-hand side, probing kick then from Miller. Will bounce, will it find touch? Is there just enough room in the park? It bounces a couple of times despite the on-rushing challenge down that Watsonians left-hand side. And again you can see the intent. FOSROC with the pass in. Forwards carrying, up with play there was Kieran Watt off the bench.
Perfect, thank you.
And at the second time of asking, the ball working its way through towards Patterson. This was a solid carry from the fullback, and then it eventually ended in Lee Miller playing it cross-field for this throw-in to be taken. Boroughmuir now, Watsonians 12. 8 minutes of the contest left to play.
One of you needs to go back.
Now begin to think of player of the match, and there'll be certainly a few contenders. Not necessarily going to be one of the FOSROC Super 6 Sprint Series games that will live longest in the memory, but it's been a well-contested contest, not quite full throttle, but fully committed. As Johnston again goes downfield, the replacement scrum half for Boroughmuir, and that's a lengthy exit towards the halfway line, and Watsonians will look to build with this throw-in.
Watsonians are playing really intelligent rugby at the moment. I think with the introduction of Lee Miller, he's certainly contributed. Between him and Joey Reynolds and Rowan FOSROC,
he's just dealing with
really
something,
seem to be on top of Boroughmuir at the moment, and they're not forcing it. They're choosing their kicking options well, and
Watson's right,
as much as they're on top of the scoreboard, it just makes it difficult for Boroughmuir to exit from their 22, and then they get the ball back again. So they're being really patient, they're playing intelligent rugby, and looking to close this game out from their point of view.
Been working hard as well in the back row with that light blue scrum cap on. He's carried very well and goes into that drive on. Once more Main with the sort of drive in the thick of it, splintered away Watsonians. Main still at the heart of it now. He peels off Picked up again by Watsonians as further replacements been made. The Fisher on for Angus Gunn, recycled and Main again carries well. Back towards Frostwick. Frostwick now looking to recycle once more. Once again Reynolds up with play over the ball at the moment. Scrum half comes in now to mop up on towards Moody. Moody stopped stationary there, running into Scott McGinley. Recycled once more. Main receiving the ball from the scrum half there. Frostwick picked up with real determination from Patrick Harrison. Recycle ball once again, this time it's Kieran Watt winning a red scrum card. Callum Norrie is on, Gregor Skugel is off the field as well, so further replacements coming thick and fast in the closing 5 minutes of the contest. Recycled again, Main receiving the ball once more from Frostwick. Frostwick has it again, has a little look towards that right hand side. Players on the shoulder, one of them taking the ball into contact is McPherson. Main has it again. He's been central, since been very vocal in the group of players in the huddle before the line out. Ball goes loose. Now he's picked up by Boroughmuir, charged down there as Adam Scott was determined to try and clear from the edge of the 22. Ball stilled again this time as Watsonians knock on is being picked up by the referee. Allowed Boroughmuir a period of advantage. So Boroughmuir will have the scrummage inside the 22. A few players down receiving a little bit of treatment. 5 minutes almost of this game left to play. Lee, if you were given a tenner, would you put in any for the scoring before the end of the game, or would you say that the game is going to peter out at this stage?
Yeah, I think from what we've seen in the last 5-10 minutes, as I mentioned, Watsonians they're playing smart rugby now. It's hard to see Boroughmuir really managing to get themselves downfield. But yeah, Watsonians just playing smart, and I think they've come close on a couple of occasions to score, and they're looking a lot more. They've got a lot more fluidity in their game.
I felt he just went to make a legal tackle. He's not trying to knock out. I think he's just trying to tackle.
And they're really forcing Boroughmuir to get away, which I think will prove difficult.
Okay, let's go. Shoulder out. Thank you. Crouch. Bind.
Scrummage then for Boroughmuir. An important exit. They'll want to at least try and get losing bonus if they can before the end of the contest.
Sit there. Okay. Just keep your legs in front of you. Stay bound on the body. Good height, bound on the body. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Coming forward to feed the ball into the scrum.
In, please.
Murray Johnson.
Thanks. Yeah. Crouch.
You're going inside? Okay.
Bind. Sit.
Just disappears as the players engage in the scrum. It's back now on this Boroughmuir left hand channel. And again, Jenkins is devoured in the challenge.
Leave it now, leave it.
To reorganise and regroup through Johnston once more. Keddy determined, ball still in play as he carries Johnston once more. He cycles ball. See how high a defensive line Watsonians are playing just now. Main stands tall. Johnston then with the box kick. Watsonians will chase back, and that's back towards halfway. Picked up by the youngster Harry Patterson. One of a number of young players. Oh, he's half through there. He was able to get beyond that 10-metre line up towards the 22, but stopped short. Recycled ball, put pass out there from Lee Miller out towards this left hand side. Reynolds, deft handling there from the inside centre, played forward. Reynolds again giving chase. Boroughmuir just ensuring they've got possession of the ball. The Watsonians have knocked forward. Carl Main with the tackle. The referee will play back for the handling error just on the edge of that 22. 2.5 or just over 2.5 minutes of the contest left to play. And Watsonians are coming in on the top of the table place this afternoon as we see Joe Reynolds awarded the man of the match this afternoon. Scored a try in 8 minutes and has been a very effective centre partner for the other try scorer Lewis Berg
keep
they
that
also
elbow up.
scored just before the half hour.
Good position last
No
time,
further
keep it that way.
scoring since then. There have been a few contenders this afternoon for player of the match. FOSROC Super 6 player of the match, and for this particular game, congratulations to Joe Reynolds for his contribution.
Set.
Those that might feel a little hard done by will be the likes of the forwards, the likes of Carl May and Ian Moody. Sam Cecil worked very hard in the back row for Watsonians to build a platform. As it's recycled again by the scrum half Johnson. Running into Lewisberg, still deep inside their own 22. Beginning to run out of time now as again the ball carrier is Ewan Stuart on the park, one of the latest Boroughmuir replacements. Taken on this time though by number 4 Jack Fisher.
Yeah, leave it.
Still shot of the 22. Into the challenge was Tom Brown, but they've gained a little bit of ground here up towards the 22. Jack Fisher has worked very hard, so too Ewan Stewart since coming off the park. Stewart, the latest player to get the ball into contact. Penalty awarded though to Watsonians. And can they see this contest out with a further score before the end of the game? A game only a minute left to play.
Yeah, you've got 50 seconds left on the clock.
50 seconds to be exact. The referee are going to go for the posts, and just to go beyond the 2 tries, 2 converted scores, and a 15-0 finish to the game is what they're eyeing up at the moment anyway, Lee.
Yeah, I think as much as we've talked about Boroughmuir struggling to put together continuity, it's probably down to the Watsonians defence, and as much as it's been scrappy in places, you know, the back rows have really contested the ball hard. I mean, and there could have been a few nominations for man of the match in there, but coming back to that, Joey Reynolds, well deserved. I think he set the tone with his first score, and then he's just had a really calm, assured performance. He's kicked well, and that's him coming back into the squad from injury, so well deserved from his point of view.
Lee Miller then, being mindful of the time as he looks down at the ball up at the posts. Replacement fly half. Will he be delivering the final lines of the script by adding a further 3 points? Straight and true, and the referee puts whistle to mouth and blows for full time, and it's Watsonians who will head back to the top of the FOSROC Super 6 sprint table with victory this afternoon by 15 points to 0 against a Boroughmuir side who certainly battled away during the 80 minutes but had no cutting teeth and no means of being able to cut their way through the Watsonians defence for the entire 80 minutes. They worked very hard, but ultimately they just didn't have the cutting edge required to win the contest this afternoon. So Watsonians continue with their bright start to the campaign, scoring 2 tries, getting off to a flying start. Joe Reynolds in 8 minutes converted by Jason Baggett. A second try coming before the half hour mark through Lewisberg, and then that penalty goal, the final action of the game, courtesy of Lee Miller. And I'd imagine that Watsonians will be satisfied with the victory. They'll know that there's aspects of play that they'll certainly want to work on, but for Boroughmuir that's a bitterly disappointing 80 minutes, because just the fact that perhaps in attack they didn't show nearly enough to trouble this Watsonian side, and I would think that's something that Graham Shield will be identifying in his post-match analysis with the players.
Yeah, I think we look across the game as a whole, and I think you probably count on one hand the amount of times Boroughmuir kind of got over 4-5 phases, you know, which makes it difficult to get a foothold in the game. And you mentioned the score; it was only for the majority of the match, it was only 12-0, and Boroughmuir with a converted score could have been right back in there. But I think on that as well, the Watsonians' defence was strong. They showed a good bit of line speed, and they just put Boroughmuir under pressure on the line, which forced so many knock-ons, turnovers in possession, and Watsonians will definitely take that. As much as it wasn't a classic in terms of them scoring loads of points, their defence was really strong, and that goes a long way in a competition like this. And 3 games in out of the 5 initial matches, and they're 3 from 3, so they'll be more than happy with that result in a local derby as well.
Can you use competitive rustiness to explain away some of the action or the inactivity in the opposition 22 when you maybe look more so at the Boroughmuir side than the Watsonian side, or do you feel now at this stage with the amount of time they've had together and they've 2 games under the belt that's maybe not going to hold much water?
They've played 2 teams in Ayrshire Bulls and Heriots so far who, probably looking at the table, you'd say would be 2 of the stronger sides, so it's been a difficult start for them. But again, there's a high turnover in players as well, so this sprint series is all about coaches looking at trying to integrate the way they're going to play the game, integrate new players with a view to that championship season. So as much as teams are kind of feeling their way into it, like we say, we're now 3 games in, and the sprint series will be well into it before we know it. So Boroughmuir almost chasing their tails a wee bit now, but on the flip side, Watsonians looking pretty strong.
So a win this afternoon then for Watsonians, that propels them up the leagues. They were coming in to this afternoon's game in 3rd place in the table on 9 points. Of course, Stirling County were victorious down at the Greenyards last night, winning against the Southern Knights. So there is the most up-to-date table with Watsonians Rugby on top. 3 games played, 13 points after today's 15-0 win over Boroughmuir. Boroughmuir remains second bottom, just above the Southern Knights. And of course the match still to come. Bruce Miller will be in the chair at 4:30 for Ayrshire Bulls against Heriots. So that coming up in the next 3/4 of an hour. So that your 3rd instalment. Southern Knights 10, Stirling County 24, and County will be delighted with that win on the road. And again, this weekend 2 wins from the sides playing away from home, albeit Watsonians have had a relatively short journey to make down to Meggetland.
Yeah, and given the 5 matches before this league splits into playoffs, it's a bit of a lottery in terms of your home and away matches. So very important that you perform well away from home as well, and any win away from home is well warranted and is important moving forward.
You can see in conversation with his team there, Nicky Walker seems quite satisfied with the afternoon's work. Well, this was how it all started for Watsonians in 8 minutes, and the player of the match, Joe Reynolds, leading from the front. A fine run from the edge of the 22. Was able to cut through 2 or 3 challenges. Mercer to begin with, then a couple of challenges later. Glenn Fodge couldn't stop the inside centre from breaking over the whitewash to get the opening score.
Yeah, if there was any concerns over his injury, that probably put them to bed and put him in good stead for the rest of the match.
And this fine conversion this afternoon. At times it was rather blustery around Meggetland, so these 2 added points were important just to settle Baggett into the contest. Jason Baggett would later be replaced by Lee Miller. And it's a fine piece of running once again. The pass from the scrum half Brand, and a run here from Lewisberg. Once more evading challenges, showing good strength here to evade 2 tackles, and then real acceleration in those final 15-20 metres, which you'll appreciate, Lee, given your own skill set. And a fine piece of attacking play from the outside centre. Anything Reynolds at 12 can do, his centre partner on the outside can do as well. Baggett's kick just wide of the uprights, and at that stage, going in at the half-hour mark, Watsonians, without being at their best, were comfortable.
Yeah, they go in with 12 points, and they were fairly strong in that first half, and when they had to, they managed to get over the line. And it's a strong centre partnership. It's obviously come in with a bit of a change this week, but that they'll prove strong across the remainder of this competition as well, I believe.
And a nice moment between captain and player of the match there. Carl Davis, the Watsonian skipper, presenting the man of the match award there to Joe Reynolds. And Reynolds, having returned from injury, will be delighted with that little personal honour this afternoon. Get a photograph taken. I'm sure that will be appearing very shortly on the various social media feeds. I wouldn't necessarily say any words of wisdom there from Carl Davis, but nice little personal accolade for the Watsonians inside centre. who's back in the starting reckoning this afternoon, and I'm sure he'll be one that will point to the likes of Carl Maney and Moody, Cecil in the back row, but the entire 15, in fairness, working very hard this afternoon to ensure that Watsonians head back to the top of the table. Well, that's about it from us. Our coverage at Meggetland coming to a close, but remember, there's still further FOSROC Super 6 action to come this afternoon. Ayrshire Bulls against Heriots, live from Alloway at 4:30. But you're getting a glimpse of a rather satisfied Watsonians coach in the form of Nicky Walker, shaking hands there with, or he was about to, I think anyway, the player of the match, Joe Reynolds. And the two in conversation, as Lee, you'd have to say that this afternoon it was job done from Watsonians. It's now a case of them turning their attentions to what comes next, and Boroughmuir, well, they've got to dust themselves down and simply go again, because these games are coming thick and fast. Yeah, that's it. From a Watsonians point of view, they'll be very satisfied with that. If you'd given them the option of that at the start of the game, I'm pretty sure they'd have taken it. And as you can see, Nicky Walker looked pretty happy as assistant coach there, and Fergus Pringle, I'm sure they'll be pleased moving into the next round of matches. So it's on to Ayrshire and on to Alloway, to be more precise, as Millbrae will be the venue at 4:30 for Ayrshire Bulls against Heriots, and that will conclude the third round of matches in this weekend's FOSROC Super 6 campaign. But the games come thick and fast, and certainly look forward to the next instalment. But we'll leave you from Meggetland with the news that it was another win for the side away from home, playing away from home. Watsonians making it 3 from 3. They return to the top of the table with a 15-0 win over their hosts, Boroughmuir. From myself, Stuart McFarlane, and from Lee Jones, thank you for your company and goodbye.